All right, so today we're going to dive into some timeless secrets for building wealth. But we're not getting them from some modern financial expert. Nope, we're getting them from a story that was literally carved into clay tablets in ancient Babylon. And it all kicks off with one super relatable question.
I mean, does that sound familiar? Have you ever felt that way? It's a frustration that people have felt for thousands of years. And, it's the exact same question a group of friends asked the richest man in their city, a guy who started out with nothing more than they had.
So, let's set the scene. Our story starts with a man named Arkad. In Babylon, his name basically meant rich. But his old childhood friends, who were still just getting by, they came to him and they weren't jealous, just totally and completely confused.
And you can see why, right? They couldn't figure it out. They're thinking, we had the same teachers, we worked just as hard, we're just as honest. So how come Arkad is living this life of luxury while we can barely make ends meet? To them, it had to be just random luck, some fickle fate that picked him and not them.
But Arkad, he just shuts that idea down. Right away, he tells them, look, wealth isn't a game of chance. Not at all. It's a system. It's governed by simple laws that literally anyone can learn and follow.
And to prove he's serious, Arkad tells them his own story. See, he wasn't born with a silver spoon. Not even close. He started out as a poor scribe, working crazy long hours for almost no money, until one day a bargain he made with a rich moneylender named Algamish changed everything.
Picture this. Arkad is totally exhausted. He's up against a deadline he knows he can't meet, and so he strikes this deal. He goes to the powerful Algamish and says, "Tell me how I can become rich like you, and I promise I will work all night long to carve this tablet for you." And Algamish says, "Deal."
So Arkad pulls it off, he finishes the tablet, and Algamish keeps his end of the bargain. He reveals the secret. And you know what? The secret is so simple, it's almost shocking. It's not some complicated investing strategy. It was a complete change in how he thought. A part of all I earned was mine to keep.
So, how much exactly? Well, Algamish lays it out plain and simple. He gives him a clear place to start, no less than 1/10 of everything you make. For every 10 coins that come into your purse, one of them, that one stays. That one's for you.
See, what Algamish is really talking about is priorities. You pay the person who makes your clothes, you pay the person who makes your shoes, you pay everybody else. But who's paying you for all your hard work? This is a huge mental shift, right? It's about seeing yourself as the first person you owe money to. The lesson is simple, but so powerful. Pay yourself first.
Okay, so Arkad is totally on board. He takes this advice and he starts saving. But here's the thing. Just knowing the rule isn't the whole story. A year goes by, Algamish comes back to see how he's doing, and, well, Arkad has to admit he messed up. Big time. So Arkad proudly tells him, yep, I saved my 1/10. But then he admits that he gave all of it to a brickmaker who was traveling, who promised he'd buy these rare exotic jewels and they'd sell them for a massive profit, and you can probably guess what happened. The brickmaker got totally scammed, the jewels were just worthless pieces of glass. Poof! An entire year of savings just gone.
And Algamish does not pull any punches. His response is harsh, but it's exactly what Arkad needed to hear. He asks him, would you go to the baker to ask about the stars? He drives home this second crucial law of wealth. Only take financial advice from people who actually know what they're talking about.
But Arkad doesn't give up. He dusts himself off and starts all over again. He saves his 10th for another whole year, and this time he invests it wisely. But when Algamish comes back, he sees Arkad as making a totally different but just as critical mistake. So Arkad definitely learned that first lesson. He entrusted his savings to a shield maker to buy bronze, a really solid, smart investment. And it was paying off. He was getting a steady return. The problem? He was treating those earnings like a bonus, and just blowing it all on fancy feasts, wine, and expensive clothes.
Algamish just laughs when he hears this, and he gives Arkad another amazing metaphor. He says, you do eat the children of your savings. Think about it. Your original savings, that's your workforce. But the money they earn, those are their children. If you spend all the children, how can they ever grow up to work for you and have children of their own? The real goal is to build an army of golden slaves. In other words, you have to reinvest your earnings. That's how your wealth really grows.
So let's just recap Arkad's, let's call it his on-the-job training. The disaster with the brickmaker's jewels taught him to seek out competent advice. That stops you from losing everything. Then, the temptation of that scarlet tunic taught him to make his earnings work for him. That's what creates real growth. 2 massive failures, 2 absolutely essential lessons.
Okay, fast forward another 2 years. Arkad has now learned from both of those painful screw-ups. He doesn't just know the rules anymore, he truly understands them. And that deep understanding is what finally prepared him for the opportunity of a lifetime.
So when Algamish comes back this time, he can see that Arkad finally gets it. It's all clicked. It's not just a checklist for him anymore, it's a whole philosophy, right? Pay yourself first by living on less than you earn. Seek out expert counsel, and put your savings and their earnings to work for you.
Algamish, who's an old man now, sees this and thinks, this guy gets it. He's ready. So he makes Arkad his business partner, putting him in charge of his lands. Arkad applies those 3 laws, grows the value of the estate, and when Algamish eventually passes, Arkad inherits a portion of that great fortune. See? It was never luck. It was being prepared when opportunity finally came knocking.
And that's where Arkad finishes his story. He's answered his friend's question. It wasn't fate, it was a system. So then he distills all of his experience down into some final, crystal-clear advice for them, and, for all of us too.
So here it is, the core wisdom. First, you have to burn this one idea into your brain until it's like letters of fire. A part of all I earn is yours to keep. Then, make your money your slave, not the other way around. Always get advice from wise people. And hey, a small, safe return is way better than a huge risk. And finally, and this is so important, enjoy your life. Don't become a miser. If saving a tenth is what you can do comfortably, be content with that.
Seriously, out of everything we've talked about, this is the one. This is the starting line. It's the whole ballgame. It is the simple decision that changes your entire mindset, from someone who just works for money to someone who makes money work. You have to believe it. A part of all you earn is yours to keep.
Algamish told Arkad that wealth is like a mighty tree. It grows from a single tiny seed. That first coin you decide to save, that's your seed. The wisdom of Babylon has been shared. So the only question that's really left is the one you have to answer. When are you going to plant yours?